Would you watch Night of the Living Dead inside a haunted dollhouse while something watches you back? Welcome to The Final Cut, your daily pulse in horror. I'm Travis. I hope everyone had a fantastic 4th of July weekend celebrating 250 years of American history. We took Monday off. Hopefully you got some time to relax, watch some horror movies, enjoy the fireworks, spend some time with family and friends. But the holiday weekend is over, we're back to business. And today we're talking about a horror game that lets you watch Night of the Living Dead while investigating a cursed island of haunted dolls, a Wyoming horror festival featuring an all-puppet slasher movie, and a new found footage horror project from Vera that's already turning heads. Let's dive in. One of the strangest horror stories of the week might also be one of the coolest. A new survivor horror video game called Where Dolls Hang is allowing players to watch public domain horror classics, including George Romero's legendary Night of the Living Dead, inside the game itself. The game is inspired by Mexico's infamous Isla de las Muñecas, also known as Island of the Dolls, a real location famous for its collection of creepy hanging dolls and ghost stories. Players take on the role of a detective investigating missing persons cases while exploring a cursed forest filled with danger. But here's the twist. As you collect VHS tapes throughout the game, you can bring them back to your safe house and actually watch classic public domain horror films. That means while you're playing a horror game, you can stop and watch a horror movie inside the horror game, the horror movie of the game. That's such a bizarrely horror nerd idea that I kind of love it. It's also a reminder of how influential Night of the Living Dead remains nearly 60 years after its release. The film helped create the modern zombie genre, and now it's finding new life inside video games. My question for you guys, if you could add one classic horror movie to a video game, which movie would you choose? Near Dark. And I don't even care what the game is. Let me know your answers in the comments ahead. Welcome back, people.
Streaming had nothing worth watching. Then GRUV showed up. New Blu-rays, new steelbooks, physical media I actually own. Link in bio.
Next up, the Wyoming International Film Festival is returning this week with more than 170 films, but one movie is getting a lot of attention. A horror comedy slasher called Threat Valley Massacre, and every single character is a puppet. That's right. Imagine a classic summer camp slasher, and now imagine the cast wandered out of Sesame Street directly into a murder movie, and that's basically the pitch. Festival organizers are already calling it one of the funniest films in this year's lineup, and honestly, this is exactly why film festivals matter. You're not going to find movies like this playing on thousands of screens nationwide. Festivals give weird, creative, independent filmmakers a chance to take some risks, and sometimes those risks become cult classics. Sometimes they're disasters, but either way, they're usually memorable, and horror fans have always had a soft spot for the strange and unconventional. A puppet slasher movie definitely qualifies. So my question for you guys is, what's the weirdest horror movie concept you've seen actually work? Well, let me know your answers in the comments ahead.
Finished my last horror game. Nothing left to play. Then I found Fanatical. Insane deals on games every day. Link in bio.
Finally, found footage horror continues to evolve. Director Vera has won the inaugural Transgender Film Center Found Footage Feature Fund Award for their upcoming project, Trandemic. The film is being described as a cosmic found footage horror comedy, though most details are still being kept secret. What makes this story interesting isn't just the project itself, it's the support behind it. The award includes production funding, post-production assistance, mentorship, festival support, and creative guidance from industry veterans including Mark Duplass and Patrick Bryce. For horror fans, those names should immediately stand out because the Duplass brothers and Bryce helped redefine modern found footage horror through Creep. Right now, found footage is experiencing another major resurgence through backrooms, analog horror, internet horror, and audience short storytelling. We're seeing a whole new generation of filmmakers experiment with the format, and projects like Trandemic show there's still plenty of room for innovation. So, my question for you guys is, what's your favorite found footage horror movie of all time? I really love the Wreck franchise. I think that's one of mine, and The Bay is also great. But you guys let me know your answers in the comments ahead. Today's take, one thing that connects all three stories today: creativity. A horror game turning classic movies into part of the gameplay, a puppet slasher finding a home at a film festival, a new filmmaker getting support to create something unique in the found footage space. Horror has always been the genre most willing to experiment, and that's why it keeps surviving. The biggest horror stories aren't always the biggest studio projects. Sometimes they're the weird ideas nobody else would dare make. And as we settle back into our normal routine after the holiday weekend, that's a good reminder that some of the most exciting horror is still happening at the edges of the genre. For today's Spotify poll question, which story interests you the most? Where Dolls Hang, Threat Valley Massacre, you guys got to go watch that trailer, it's clowning, Trandemic, or something else. And if you enjoyed today's episode, make sure you're following The Final Cut on Spotify, like that thumbs up on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on social media at HMUNCUT, and let me know your answers to today's questions, because I want to hear about your favorite classic horror films, weird horror concepts, and your favorite found footage movies. That's it for today's episode of The Final Cut, your daily post in horror. We're back on track. We'll be back tomorrow. More updates, more news, more headlines. Until then, you guys know the drill. Keep the lights on.
Want real horror coverage? Horror Movies Uncut. Smartest reviews, best interviews, no fluff. HMUNCUT.com.